Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the July Energy Report. Happy 4th of July, whether you celebrate it or not. And yes, I'm sitting in a new location. Can you believe it? Something different. No, I've been moved to the couch because I have a cat sleeping on my desk chair. So in this household, you do not wake up sleeping cat. I take the peace and quiet whenever I can get it. So let's move on to the July energy report. Since we're already 4 days in, I'm late, but we have good news. So for anyone who's new to my reports, I do the reports based on the I Ching. I get a hexagram, correlate that with the gene keys, which is a descendant of the I Ching and the hexagrams. And I also get a couple of words, and maybe sometimes I get visions, and I share that with you. So where shall we begin? I have this tiny little notes up here. So this will be fun if I can see them. Oh yes, so as I mentioned in June's mid-month report, I mentioned in the vision that I got that I saw this huge anchor, ocean anchor or ship anchor landing on Earth. And I really took that to mean as a sign that, oh, things are really, beginning of transformation starts now, or the big ocean of consciousness, this big energy is hitting us now. Like all the protests and the virus before was kind of like the appetizer. It's starting now. And I think the sage agrees with me because of the hexagram that I got for this month. And it's good news. And it's the 59th hexagram, 59th gene key, which for those of you familiar with the gene keys, you know that this is like a huge gene key. The 59th and the 55th gene keys and hexagrams are what we call programming partners. And these two gene keys are the main players in the transformational codon ring known as the Ring of Union. And these two gene keys, 59 and 55th, are the huge transformational, mutational energies that affect our DNA, these that affect us. I just lost my train of thought. This is going to be a fun video. That are going to move us into the new age. Okay, so getting this 59th gene key or hexagram after seeing that big anchor drop down is just confirmation to me that the 59th is starting now. The mutation of this particular gene key is starting now. The 55th gene key is more about individual awakening, and that has been going on for probably a couple of years. Lots of people awakening spiritually. And the 59th gene key is more about, is responsible for triggering a planetary mutation at a collective level, like huge things. And the 59th gene key is all about relationships on the individual and group societal level. Let me move my notes here. Let's see, I can move this. Sorry, guys. It's so much easier at my desk. But before I talk about this hexagram, what the sage wanted us to know, let me talk about the words that I got. Let's see. I'm sorry. I don't know how to. So there we go. The words that I got for July are manic and depressive. Not manic depression, but manic and then depression or depressive came in. And I took it, the feeling that I got was in the beginning of the month, we are going to be feeling a sense of energy, upliftment, being busy, feeling good, lots of information, you know, a real manic energy. This isn't meaning just mental manic, but manic in our life. Things are feeling good. We're having fun. We're going to celebrations. You know, things feel a little bit lighter, maybe more hopeful. The economy seems to be picking up. And then what I got was this depressive type energy is going to enter in maybe the second week or perhaps the third week, but it will be kind of the major theme of this month. So we start off good, but we end up kind of on a low note. So this depression or depressive energy is will be felt as exhaustion. You know, it's in North America, it's summertime, so maybe the heat's going to just wear us all out. Perhaps it'll be a mental depression, like all of this hits us and it's just becoming too much. I think in general this month, I don't know if this month is going to have a whole lot of things going on. It's going to appear like things are slowing down. Perhaps things aren't happening. Nothing's happening. Everything, you know, maybe it's this depressive energy of, oh, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. We kind of just like give up because we don't see real big changes happening. I think it could have some depression, perhaps in relationships, and maybe in this between the race issue. There could be a depression there that nothing's happening, but also in the economy. I think the economy, excuse me, is going to hit a low, okay? So this month, watch out. We're gonna have a high and then a low in all areas of our life, okay? But don't worry, the economy will come back up, but this month and maybe into the next month will be a little scary. So some of the visions that I got, let's start off with Trump. The word that I got for him was impetuous. Like his month starts off good the first week. We're in the first week. He's having good rallies. He's feeling impetuous. Well, that's pretty normal. You know, just being wild and doing things, but he's feeling good and he feels like, yeah, I'm coming back. His rallies are going well. And then I got a picture of him at the podium, you know, giving his speech, doing his rally, feeling good. And all of a sudden I saw this huge bucket of water, clear water, just being poured all over him. Kind of like a Carrie moment from the movie Carrie where the blood gets poured all over. It was not a good sign. It was like the water just poured all over him and he just totally dissipated. And it was things I think are going to get kind of watery for him after this first week. So he's looking to have a pretty low month. Big bucket of water. Yeah, so things are going to be going down the creek for Trump throughout the latter half of the month. Let's see, what else did I see? And I also saw that protesting is going to start dwindling. Like I said, it's a depressive energy coming on. As for the 4th, the celebrations tonight, I wanted to check in to see if there was going to be some disruptive, you know, mob type energy, because of course we have an eclipse and a full moon tonight. And I didn't really see anything dramatic. What I saw was, look, I'm not a professional psychic. This is not what I do. So this is all for fun. Don't take my visions as credible. I just check in for fun. What I saw were fireworks going off, everyone having fun. But then I did see like an incoming an interference of some other type of energy crossing through the fireworks. It almost appeared to be other fireworks, or it was a missile type firework coming across and interfering the fireworks show. So I don't know if there's going to be some level of disturbance. Maybe it's other people doing their own fireworks and it gets out of control. Who knows? But I didn't see mobs or riots or angry people. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see tonight. Let's see. What else did I see? Oh, gosh. I checked in on Ghislaine, or as many people call her, Ghislaine Maxwell. So she's been arrested. Hooray. And I just briefly checked in, and I heard immediately Ghislaine Maxwell freed on bond. And I thought, oh, can this be true? Maybe it could be my ego just saying that out of fear. But let's see if she's freed on bond, because then I heard her going, talk, 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 talk. She is just talking, 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 talking. So maybe she makes a deal where she just tells all and they let her go. And she has lots of heavy, she's being monitored. So if she is freed, I can't imagine this happening. She will be heavily monitored. I did see her that she has a huge, like she is freed and she's out with her little monitor, but huge storm, like she's in a hurricane or a tornado, and wind and stuff is all flying at her. So she is not out of the woods. If by any chance she is freed, a lot of shit is coming her way. So yeah, I don't feel sorry for her. Do you? I had another vision of Big Ben. So Big Ben and Boris came in. I don't really know the situation. I saw Big Ben on fire. And I did hear another psychic say the same thing. She, like Big Ben came into her reading. She couldn't get the details. Boris came in. I don't know if Boris is having trouble. I'm not following any news from the UK. My apologies to any UK friends out there. There's some trouble brewing with Boris. I don't know if he ends up resigning soon. I can't imagine that, but maybe some social unrest happening near the Big Ben. Let's see. I also checked in on Biden, and this month I think, like, I want to say he's going to slow down. Like, I don't know if he could get any slower. But I got this like stumbling type of energy. I mean, that's also pretty typical. So I'm probably not really psychically checking in. No, seriously. I saw him physically stumbling, like something, he's feeling weary. And I just kept seeing his left leg collapsing. So I don't know if he's just weary and his left leg hurts and he stumbles. So let's look for that. I also immediately saw a hanged man, and I took it to be representation of the tarot. And the hanged man was not upside down, which means the card was upright. It was a regular hanged man. That's how I saw him hanged. So it would be reverse hangman, and that means that it's time for this person to take a pause, to rest. And it also means delaying of making a decision. So I suspect this has to do with his VP choices. So maybe we won't see or hear much of him this month. I can't imagine. Things are heating up. Let's see, what else? So moving on. Get my little notes here. I can hardly see them. They're so small. Back to the 59th hexagram, which is what the sage wanted to say is the collective energy for this month. So it's good news. It's called, we got line 1, which is good fortune with a little bit of warning. But in general, the 59th hexagram is about dispersing or dissolving or dissolution. And it's about dissolving of shadow behavior, the dissolution of ego elements in a situation. And it's the beginning of restoring harmony. So that is good news. And it's all about strength is help. Strength is coming to those who, according to line 1, begin to align with their common sense. And now I'm going to speak from the Gene Keys, what the sage wanted to say here. And it says, we have good fortune as long as we realign ourselves with our common sense, and our common sense is our inner truth, our common sense is our inner feelings about things, and common sense about things. You know, we have a sense, but we often get pulled by the collective ego or the groups we hang around with. And that's exactly what the sage is speaking to in this key. And it says, now is the time, strength is needed for the individual to separate himself from the pull and the demands of the collective ego, whether the collective ego in general or groups that he is involved with. So I think that this is directly pointing to people aligning themselves with protests. Not saying that the protests are wrong, but that's a group energy, and it's now perhaps time to pull away from that group energy. And the sage explains why. This is the beginning. It's also the line talks about, once we pull away from the group, be careful not to let feelings of alienation and doubt cause you to question your common sense, your inner truth, from breaking away from a relationship. And this can also mean with personal relationships, okay? So it's time to perhaps break away from a relationship and follow your inner truth, but don't let fear of alienation or doubt pull you back in. So the sage says we do have some spells, some false patterns of thinking that may be blocking us. And it says here, spells connected with this line have to do with a person's identity being connected with his particular group, be it family, class, race, or nation. So I think this is really speaking to perhaps on a larger scale, Black community versus white community. It's time to break away from the collective thought, all unconscious, that may be seeping into all of us. It's time to break away and follow our common sense. And it says, phrases may be, they are my people. That is the group that supports me, my country, right or wrong. So this could be political as well, of course. Didn't even think of that. So in general, this line is saying we have to pull away from the group think. Follow our common sense, because now is not the time to be engaging in this, the false beliefs of group think, okay? And being so identified with your group, your race, your political belief that it becomes you, when on the inside, you know, the beliefs and the energy and the behavior and the reactions, you start becoming them. And we can't heal if we're so identified with these groups, family, religion, political, race, etc. It's time to pull away and check with your common sense. Is what the group doing in alignment, in harmony with the whole? And if we can do that, even just a few of us, then this huge transformational energy of the 59th hexagram can come in, the helpers can come in and start repairing relationships, okay? And speaking of relationships, that's where the 59th gene key, it talks, this is all about, the 59th gene key is all about relationships. And the 59th gene key speaks to how we are drawn to one another, whether it be one-on-one or group to group. And we are attracted to each other through opposite, they're not opposite energies, complementary energies, but they're based on fears. You know, that chemistry you feel with someone, that isn't the chemistry of love. That is the chemistry of complementary fears being attracted to each other. And this key speaks to very tribal fears and instincts. So we are seeing at a collective level why the Black and white community are butting heads once again. It is a tribal genetic energy, complementary fears that are being drawn together once again so that they can heal this relationship. And the shadow of the 59th gene key is called dishonesty. And it speaks to how and why we enter into relationships, that we always, number one, we're normally dishonest with ourselves about what we really want out of life. And we enter into relationships, be it personal relationships or group relationships, because we think we have a hidden agenda that the ego wants something. So we align ourselves and we don't really feel right with it, but we have some deep-seated fear that we're not ready to disclose. We lie to ourselves, we lie to the other, and we have hidden agendas for aligning together. And this probably is true for relationships in the past being brought together between Black and white communities or groups. Maybe one or the other had hidden agendas. They weren't truly honest with each other. And perhaps that's why it has never worked, because it was, once again, ego to ego, fear to fear. I better enter into this relationship because I have to. You know, things like all of those silly, I don't want to say silly laws, but what is the word? Where you hire a minority, you know what I'm talking about. That's a dishonest relationship being made. So here we are once again, groups of people, relationships being brought together to heal. And the gift of this 59th gene key is intimacy, where we finally, and I think that this month, this is perhaps the point the sage is making, is that we finally begin to really have a conversation. And I kind of hate that term, but we speak honestly, one-on-one. It begins at the personal level. I know I have a friend who is Black, and we're having honest conversations about fears, Black and white fears, and all of this going on, and my perspective, her perspective. This is the beginning. You have to get really honest and intimate with yourself. What are your real fears? Even if you don't speak to another person or a group, feel your fear about the other person within yourself and just let it rise up. You got to be honest with yourself. And then we can begin to heal this. And the moment we all begin to look at our fears about the other, then it releases this huge, and it feels like sexual energy, because that's sort of the base of this 59th genetic coding, but it's really the transformational energy of the Shakti energy. That Shakti fire begins to rise up. So that's the energy of July. We have to tap in more to our common sense, our inner truth. Do I really, am I being honest with myself? Why am I involved in this relationship, this group? Do I believe what they believe, or am I hanging on because these are my people, they support me? Or am I with this person because they support me? It's time to look at and be truly honest about our fears regarding the other, really be okay with that. And if it's feels right, share those intimate fears with your friends, your partners, or just acknowledge them within yourself and let the healing begin. So all in all, July may feel like depressive energy, nothing's happening, but this turning within and facing our fears about other people and other tribes, this is inner work, and there's not a lot of action, and so it's going to feel like nothing is happening, but a lot is happening. It's going to start that Shakti transformational fire, and it's going to start burning away the fears that brought us together in head-on collision, that will ultimately bring us together in unity, right? So that we can be truly individuals together. Okay, so good news for July, although it may not seem like it, but it's going to be an excellent month. All right, all for now, bye.